Councilor Pullman, you are all set.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the West Hartford Town Council Human and Community Services Committee. My name is Deb Poland. I chair this committee. We're joined by Councilor Cortez and Mayor Cantor this evening, as well as a number of other individuals, including Town Manager Rick Ledwith, Adrian Billings-Smith, Laura Ermshire, Liz Basinski, and Chris Dutton, our guest from the Bridge. So thank you, all of you, for being here. We will go right ahead to our first business item, and that is a resolution to establish a West Hartford Indigenous Peoples Recognition and Reconciliation Task Force. And I will turn this over to Mr. Town Manager, and I believe you'll be turning it over to Ms. Billings-Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, we're very pleased to have our equity leader, Adrian Billings-Smith, with us this evening. And Adrian will discuss the potential of forming a West Hartford Indigenous Peoples Recognition and Reconciliation Task Force. And the goal of this potential task force would be to review issues of cultural recognition of Indigenous people through various community engagement and programming throughout the town. And through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn things over to our equity leader to give an overview of this potential resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Town Manager Ledwith, and thank you everyone for having me here today. I'm really excited about potentially having this task force come into play. We have been working to build out kind of what it would look like. We see that most people have started having land acknowledgements throughout the country and throughout our Connecticut communities. And when I thought about it, when I took on this position, I said, I don't want to just put out a land acknowledgement. I want people to understand what that actually means. So through working with other members of the town, employees, Jerida, and members of our community to build out what that potentially looks like, including members of the Mashantucket Pequot tribe, the Golden Hill Pagusset tribe. We've started the framework for it, so to speak. And we want to establish this so that we can start holding educational and cultural programs, panels, from panels to crafting to potentially maybe a powwow. And our end goal is to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day. I know that our Board of Ed has already taken that step to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day and other people around in the greater Hartford area. And I wanted to take a moment to help educate and provide resources to our community with the rest of that task force so that we can potentially do that and have a celebration of that day. It was on the records. I think I put Jerida loaded the resolution that we created. If you'd like me to read it, I can kind of read it to you and you guys can, we can discuss it. But it's really about bringing community together. That's the real purpose around an issue that I know has been a tough topic to talk about, but has had great conversation around it. So I think bringing the community together, bringing in the tribes, that recognition piece and that reconciliation piece of really allowing space for cultural intelligence, cultural awareness, will provide some great energy for our town. And we have the backing, and we have a couple people who have already committed once this goes through, who are willing to help, who are professors from Indigenous studies to members of our community who are Indigenous. And also our town historian has committed to be a part of this as well. So we're going to give every single piece of this and lead up to that land acknowledgement, so people in the community are aware and knowledgeable about what it actually means.
Great, thank you for that summary.
Thank you.
Do any of the counselors on the call have any questions about this? I guess I would just first thank you for the work that's already been done on this. And I assume this will be a commission with appointed individuals from across the town, and would just encourage that once this is up and running, we really do try to get some voices of people who are Indigenous to this area if possible, or to the tribes from this area. So thank you. And this will be on our council agenda for
The 26th, I think
27th?
it'll be the next,
the 27th.
the
Yeah,
27th, excuse me.
Yeah, next,
Do we need a vote on this?
we don't need a formal vote, but a blessing from the committee would be,
Without objection, the
No objecting,
committee
we
is
would-
ready to move this forward.
we will present it to Corporations Council. They've had a chance to review it already, but we'll give them one final blessing before it shows up on the agenda for June 27th.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate the work on this. All right, we will move to communications. Do we have any communications, Mr. Town Manager?
We do not, Madam Chair. What I was hoping we could do is maybe we have a special guest with us this evening. It was really falling under the Human and Community Services portion of the agenda, but would love to introduce everyone. I don't need to introduce Chris Dutton to everybody from the bridge, and Chris will give an update on their work this year in our schools. And as everyone I think knows, of all the partnerships we have in town across dozens of organizations, our 50-year plus relationship that we have with the bridge is one of the most critical partnerships to the town, to our school district, and really to our community at large. So through you, Madam Chair, I will turn things over to Mr. Dutton to provide us with a kind of an overview and a summary of the year this year. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you to all of you. And I'm not always up to date on the correct etiquette and protocol about how to speak. So if I misstep, apologies. But I'm very happy to be here. So thank you. I believe that I've met everybody in the virtual room at some point. But I am Chris Dutton. I'm the Clinical Director of Community and School Services at the Bridge here in town. And as you know, we're the Youth Service Bureau for town. And we also do a lot of work in the schools through our agreement with the West Hartford Public School District. I wanted to start by just kind of giving you a snapshot of the number of youth that we worked with through our interventions this year, and then kind of talk about a little bit about the trends that we've seen and kind of how things are moving, what we're planning to do for the summer, and then if there's questions, we can kind of go in that direction as well. But so through our work as the Youth Service Bureau, we do therapeutic mentoring. We have our teen center in town, and as a subset of the teen center programming, we also have the teen leadership committee. This year we mentored 53 students, including about 10 that were served through our new grant that we got in conjunction with the town from DCF to serve specifically JRB, Juvenile Review Board referred youth. In a given month, we would see each of those kids up to 4 or 5 times and do, kind of what I refer to as quote unquote therapy light. A lot of goal setting for the future planning, looking at, barriers, etc. But the mentors are not getting into some of the deep stuff that the clinicians will do, although it does come up from time to time. At the Teen Center, which this year the teens voted to rebrand a bit and change the name. We've been the base for a while. The word on the street around teens was that a lot of teens don't know what that means. And so they came up with Teen Connect at the West Hartford Teen Center, and that's currently what we are calling the program. But we had about 150 distinct youth come through the Teen Center, and this number is accurate as of May 31st. We had 1,436 visits this year. It's a little bit behind years past, and some of the reasons are we did some creative programming with teen nights that while I think it was really great to enrich the teen night programming, I think there were a few fewer teams served at those teen nights. So we're going to look at how we can keep that sort of enrichment and keep our traditional teen night alive for next year. The leadership group this year is 14 youth. And these are some really special kids. They apply to be part of this group, and they work really hard throughout the course of the year on behalf of both the Teen Center. They help to direct the programming or inform programming at the Teen Center, but they also really do a lot for the community. And I'm going to read you the whole list of things that I got from our youth services manager today that the Teen Center leadership group did for the community this year. They did a diaper drive to support the diaper drive that the Family Resource Center. So they did a separate one and then donated all those diapers to the FRC. They did 2 separate food drives. They helped to set up the pumpkin patch at the Methodist Church. They served cotton candy and popcorn at a Friends of Feeney event, a cardboard challenge. They went to and advocated for the Teen Center at the Elmwood Community Center redesign event. They did a drive for Dignity Grows, which is an organization that provides menstrual materials to women that cannot access them. They did a pet supplies drive. They helped to host a Hillcrest Parents Night Out movie night and helped to host a field trip for Hillcrest youth to a ride event on at Nightmare Acres this fall. They represented the West Hartford YSB at YSB Day at the Capitol. They attended and helped with childcare at a social media parent presentation that I presented in conjunction with the Community of Concern. Similarly, they also participated as a youth panel at a substance abuse event that I presented with the Community of Concern, and they sold baked goods to raise money for one of the sports teams at Conard, the volleyball team. So that, and most importantly, I actually left this one out because I wanted to talk about it separately, but they helped to coordinate the very successful ice skating and prevention event that happened at Veterans Memorial, where over 250 kids came out, or kids and family members. And one of the things that I wanted to mention specifically to that is the heavy emphasis on middle school kids that were at that event and how many middle school kids came to something like that. And to me, it just highlights a need for middle school programming that we'll be looking at internally. But given the constraints of kind of our programming, we haven't been able to really target recreational program for middle school kids the same way that we have like the Teen Center, for instance. So I just wanted to put that plug in there for middle school needs. On the school-based counseling side of things, we were short-staffed throughout most of the year. So whereas we usually see about 85 kids, this year we saw 65. But a lot of those kids had real high acuity, and we were seeing them multiple times a week. We also do school-based groups, both clinical and positive youth development groups. And as of my most current data at the end of last month, we had done 11 groups throughout the course of the year that served 65 students. Something else that I wanted to mention in terms of, I do presentations for parents, and I participated in a mental health panel that the schools put on with the Community of Concern, where something like 40 to 50 parents came out. And I presented to middle school parents on social media this spring. And again, we had about 30 parents come out to that. During the winter time, I did a presentation also in conjunction with Community of Concern, who was very good at marketing and getting parents out. This presentation was about substance use prevention. Not a single parent came in person. There were, I believe, 20 to 25 people watching this live stream online, which is great news, but no parents came out to the substance abuse prevention talk. And I don't think that's an accident. I think that parents don't want to hear it until it's a problem, and they don't want to think about that prevention piece, which leads me into sort of trends, where one of the big trends when I talk to my staff about what folks are seeing is increase in substance use. Kids are vaping. That's been like the hot topic since I took this role, both THC and nicotine. I will say anecdotally, there's less of an increase of THC use since legalization than I think I expected. But what's really back in terms of substance use in town is alcohol. Kids are drinking a lot. Since I took this role, we haven't heard much about it. I mean, the odd party here and there, but over the last year to year and a half, we've heard a lot more about it. More alcohol-related cases are coming through the JRB. More kids are talking about it in therapy and mentoring sessions. And it's become kind of a hot topic at the prevention council meetings that I'm at is, you know, how do we address the fact that kids just don't seem to think that alcohol is dangerous and is a bad thing. So it's something that's a topic of conversation for us. I don't have the exact answer right now. Another big trend, and Liz, you're very familiar with this topic, I'm sure, from conversations with Kelly, is attendance and truancy. The bridge in our interventions find it kind of difficult to address because we're doing mostly school-based interventions, but we've been thinking about ways to incorporate more outreach for kids who are not coming to school. But both they and the families need to be willing to engage with us. And it would also mean a reconfiguration of our services a bit. Ultimately, I'd love to be able to reach out more to kids in their homes and do that kind of community work, but I also don't want to sacrifice the really important in-school mentoring work that we do. And so it's going to take some creativity to figure out how to do both of those things. And then the last piece of trend is I feel like I've just been beating this drum for the last couple of years, but just the acuity of the kids that we see is really, really, really continuing to increase. You know, when kids are initially referred to us, they tend to be identified by school refusal or incomplete work or behavioral difficulties. And often that's recognized as secondary anxiety or depression, but we continue to see a need for enhanced connection, deeper therapy, creative approaches to engagement. You know, the young folks are continuing to have feelings of isolation, disconnectedness. They report sometimes that even in the company of others, they're still feeling kind of alone. And sometimes these dynamics also lead to interpersonal conflict. Teens are struggling with issues around identity, higher levels of substance abuse, like I said, increases in anxiety, depression, stress, etc. And then, you know, even though we're sort of past the acute phase of the pandemic, families are still dealing with the fallout. Sometimes they're living with extended family, which leads to other complicated family dynamics. Sometimes folks are still having lack of work and food insecurity, and all of these things compound on top of the already difficult clinical issues. And it really starts to kind of impact everything we do. We see a lot of this on a deep level through our clinical services, but it really permeates everything that we're doing, whether it's mentoring, group work, and teen center work. In terms of summer plans, for the third year in a row, we're very excited to be able to continue our school-based clients through the summer as appropriate. Last year, we had 30 of our 80 kids continue. This year, we're looking at about the same. We're going to have individual and group mentoring. The group mentoring looks like field trips and pro-social activities. You know, we'll take them to a ropes course. Actually, they're going to, and this comes from the leadership group, but they'll be helping to do some cleanup around Woolkit and Beachland Park, which is something that we started doing during the pandemic, and the kids really feel like they're giving back to their community that way. And we're going to be, actually, the leadership group will be going on second annual camping trip towards the end of the summer. So we're really excited about that. We're going to do Hillcrest programming, which will look like field trips again this year. They were really successful last year. Some of the ideas that we're building out right now, a Basketball Hall of Fame, trip to Brownstone Recreation Center, a Yard Goats game. And then new this year, the bridge was approached, I think by way of the town, to partner with Capital Workforce Partners to offer the summer youth employment program this year. I'm a little stressed out about this program because we're kind of building the plane while flying it, because we were asked to do it in late March and signed a memorandum of understanding in May. So it's been, so we're really doing this, and the program is set to start on July 5th. And due to the state budget not including the $5 million extra dollars, but instead the $800,000 extra dollars that they were expecting, we're not sure exactly the shape the program will finally take in its final form, but we are working really hard to do what's considered tier 1 and tier 3 of those programs. And so tier 1 will target 14 and 15-year-olds and really work on project-based learning with them to help them gain some work readiness skills. And tier 3 will be partnering with area agencies and organizations to have them host youth interns who will work 20 hours a week and be paid through Capital Workforce Partners, and then hopefully set them up to potentially turn into a a job with those places, and that the tier 3 serves youth 17 to 24 in the community. Right now, John Merritt, who some of you may know, who's our youth services manager, and I are working through all of the applications. We had about 45 completed applications and another 40 or so that were in various states of incompleteness the last I looked, but we're working through those to try to get the most suitable kids into that program. So we're really excited about that. I always like to end these things with some success stories, but I think I've kind of pushed up against the end of my time. So instead, I will open it up to questions, if anybody has any for me.
Thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive report, and it does give a great illustration of the breadth of services that are being provided by the bridge. Councilor Cortez or Mayor Cantor, do you have any questions? One of my questions is about the, oh, sorry, go ahead now.
No, I wanted to comment and just say that, it's great, going into the community, seeing some of the stuff that you guys do. Firsthand, I got to see, experienced setting, offloading the pumpkins at West Hartford
Nice.
United Methodist Church,
Great.
and that was super helpful. So on the record, I hope to see you guys there again this year. But just seeing that presence in the community, it's just great to see. And I'm thankful for what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll echo that. Just a quick question about the leadership team. I think this is a great
Sure.
opportunity for youth in our town. Is that a one-year commitment or is it beyond? And then how do youth apply for the leadership team?
Yeah, so it's evolved a little bit, and I really wish John was here to talk about it because it's his baby. He grew it from the start. It started as an opportunity for teens to kind of have an input onto what Teen Center looked like, and it's really evolved to a community intervention. And so kids apply in September. Usually they're referred by another Teen Center or leadership member, but we do recruit at both of the high schools, and we go out and John and members of his team will sit outside the cafeteria at both schools with flyers, and they'll talk about Teen Center, but leadership specifically. And it's a brief application and a brief interview with John, one of his staff, and the outgoing president of the leadership group. And it's a one-year commitment. Although most kids come back year after year and participate in it. Our president of the leadership group this year is a junior, and we're looking forward to having her back. She's a real star. Is really great at kind of getting kids together and marshaling the resources of the leadership group. She's a big reason why we did so many events. But it's only a one-year commitment, so kids don't have to sign up for this long, intimidating thing. Meetings are on Thursday evenings from 5 to 6. We were meeting every other week for 2 hours, but it was actually easier to meet for an hour every week. And so that's kind of what they're doing right now.
Great, thank you.
Happy to do it.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. And I know we all know how to reach out to you if we have additional questions. Just again,
Absolutely.
On behalf of the rest of the folks on the call and the rest of the town council, just a great big thank you to you and your team for serving people in our town in the way that you do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're happy to do it.
All right, we will move on to staff reports, and we'll start with the library update this time. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to be here this evening to tell you about what's going on in the library. So June is a really exciting time to be in West Hartford, and the library is involved in many of the festivities that are happening around town. It currently is Caribbean American Heritage Month, and due to the rain, the kickoff event was moved inside our Noah Webster Library. And along with that, we're also hosting an exhibit called A Home Away from Home, Greater Hartford's West Indian Diaspora. That's brought to us by Dr. Fiona Vernal, Associate Professor of History and Africana Studies at UConn. The exhibit's still up. It's in our new books area at Noah Webster, and it's going to be up through the weekend. So if you haven't had a chance, I encourage you to come check it out. Last weekend at Celebrate, we had a library booth, and we had several hundred people stop by and talk to us. We had a big Scrabble board and we invited people to play a word. It was really impressive to see how serious some people were taking the challenge, and we had a lot of fun. We had some fun library giveaways, and we even answered a few reference questions in the booth. So that was a great time to be out in the community. This weekend, we're participating in the Juneteenth celebration. We have a story time with Sharnae Gordon, author of the books Lift Every Voice and Change and A Friend Like You. And for Pride Month, we're celebrating all month long with an art show in our gallery. We have book displays up at all our locations, and also a display in our local history room. And our children's librarian will be leading a craft in the children's tent at the Pride Festival on the 24th. And it may seem like a lot, but wait till I tell you about July. So on July 8th is Bookworm Fest. This is a free event. It's open to all ages. We're going to have it from 12 to 4 at the Noah Webster Library. And this is a celebration of gaming, science fiction, and fantasy with a fun afternoon at the library. We're going to have vendors that are demonstrating games and selling goods throughout the day. We have performances from Myth LARP and the Penniless Jacks. This, and then a lot more I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. This event kind of started as a teen event, and it was organized by the teen department, but it's really grown into a family-friendly, fun for all ages event. Myth LARP is a performance. LARP is LARP. It stands for live action role play. And so Myth LARP is a group that runs a story-driven live action fantasy role-playing game. They normally do it on a 4-H camp in Northern Connecticut, but they'll be on hand at our Bookworm Fest, and they'll be hosting an immersion room in the library. We're going to have panels on Dungeons and Dragons, how to be a dungeon master, and beyond Dungeons and Dragons. We'll have an escape room running multiple sessions throughout the afternoon, board and dice game demonstrations. We'll also have a quiet room, so there will be quiet space for convention goers who need a break from the excitement. We'll have coloring sheets, drawing table, and some relaxing activities. And then when you're ready to go back to the fest, we have a sci-fi scavenger hunt in the children's department. We'll have our virtual reality and 3D printing from our Studio 20 South. On South Main Street, we have some activities outside. We have face painting and Smite the Knight, which is a friendly challenge to take on a knight in full armor using spell packets. And in Blueback Square, the Penniless Jacks will be performing some music. We have over 30 volunteers from our library, and we're collaborating with the Bloomfield Library and Farmington Libraries. And we also have library Dungeons and Dragons campaign volunteers that are helping out. Some of the events will require registration due to the capacity, so we encourage everybody to check the library calendar to see if there's specific event details or if there's limited capacity for things. Our library will be open regular operations from 10 to 5 that day. If you're looking for maybe a key traditional library experience, we encourage you to visit our branches. Faxon and Bishops will be open from 10 to 2 that day. And we're anticipating a fun and exciting day with a lot of people in and around the library. And then the next weekend is the Book It Fun Run. So we are holding a children's fun run to raise awareness for the library. It'll be on July 15th at 10:30 at Sterling Field, which is adjacent to Charter Oak International Academy. There's races planned for children of all ages, including a 100-meter toddler dash and a 1/4 and 1 mile untimed races. The first 200 registered runners get a race day cape, so jump onto our website and register for the race. We have EMTs and CERT volunteers on hand to assist with the event. Fleet Feet's generously providing a balloon arch for the finish line, and we're working on a bouncy house, so fingers crossed that comes through. Funding for this event is provided by the West Hartford Library Foundation, and we are grateful for their support. And then in August, we're all going to sleep. Just kidding. more details to come this summer. So we're really excited for a lot of events. Summer's a great time to come visit your local library. We have regular programming, lots of events going on. Give us a call or check out our website. We'd love to tell you more. We recently received a few generous donations and grants that I wanted to highlight, and these are in support of children's services. The first is a memorial gift from the family of Josephine Rivaldi, who was a former library employee who passed away in 2019. Jill worked in collection services for 30 years, purchasing books and processing invoices. Her family was appreciative of the kindness and love shown to Jo during her years working at the library, and they wanted to give a gift to the children's department in recognition of that. We're so grateful to the Rivaldi family for their thoughtful and generous gift, and we plan to purchase furniture and play areas for all 3 libraries with that donation. And then for the 25th year, we're the proud recipient of grants from the Ellen Jean Goldfarb Memorial Charitable Trust to support music and dance programming for children. Ellen Jean Goldfarb of West Hartford died suddenly in 1992 in Brussels, Belgium. She was a senior at Hall High School and was a flutist traveling in Europe with the Hall High Jazz Band at the time of her death. Her parents, Robert and Francine Goldfarb, established the trust to honor Ellen's love of music and to fund educational programs that encourage the growth and development of the youth in our community. West Hartford Public Libraries offered many quality programs of music and dance paid for by the grant over the course of the years, featuring live concerts and music classes, as well as dance performances and dance lessons for children ranging in age from preschool through tween. Their appreciation for the opportunity to attend outstanding programs and classes without charge at the West Hartford Public Library. Of particular note, we've hosted performances in the Nutcracker Ballet every holiday season and live music concerts in Blueback Square. We're so proud to be recipients of these grants and to extend the appreciation of music and dance to our library. We are in a hiring boom at the library with the Town Council's generous support. We are currently recruiting for our programs and outreach librarian. Applications close tomorrow, so last chance if any librarians are listening. And we are excited to hopefully have someone in place over the summer. And then we have several part-time positions we're either recently hired for or are currently looking for our reference desk and our Studio 20 tech assistants. And lastly, I'd like to leave you with our featured services. And this month, I want to tell you about our homebound services. This is an opportunity for people who aren't able to come to the library to get library materials. Volunteers deliver library materials free of charge to West Hartford residents who are either temporarily or permanently confined to their home because of illness, disability, or advanced age. To register or request materials, you can just call the library. You can ask for specific material or just tell us what you like and we'll make selections for you. And we really feel this is an important way to bring the library to our residents who can't make it into our building. And we appreciate the volunteers that help us with this program because we have volunteers that deliver the material out to the public. That concludes my report this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ermsher. Councilor Cortez or Mayor Cantor, do you have any questions? You're good? I just wanted to thank you for all of the programming and services that you offer. I do want to say that when I go to the library and I'm in there just picking out books, I often will overhear librarians on the phone with people, and they're always so professional in helping people try to figure out what book to get. Sometimes I can sort of tell what the conversation is, and it's like, oh, it's a book, there's a house involved, there's like a woman, and they're able to usually work with the person to figure out what the book is. It's very, very impressive. Do you want to also take the opportunity to mention the announcement of the West Hartford Reads author?
Yes, thank you. I forgot that went live. So in October, we are going to have our next author for West Hartford Reads, and it's going to be Nick Hornby. We are very excited to have him. He's had tons of books. He's written TV shows. He's worked on all different kinds of subject matter, and he's going to be a really big draw. We're going to have him at one of the high schools. We're still finalizing the details of the location so we can have a much bigger capacity. But we expect this to be a huge event. We're so excited to have him. And there's also going to be some discussion groups on some of his books that we'll be announcing throughout the summer so everybody can get into his books and start getting excited for his visit. Thank you for the reminder. I can't believe I forgot that one.
That's all right. I happen to see it on Twitter, so thank you for that. And I'm sure you'll have displays up in the libraries with his books so that we can all brush up.
Absolutely. We'll have displays. We're working on adding to our digital collection, so you'll be able to get his material in whatever format you like.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we will move on now to our next update, which is our leisure and social services update. And I think, Liz, you'll be providing that this evening. You're up.
I can start with I can give a, Helen Rubino Turco isn't with us, Madam Chair. She's on a well-deserved vacation. Following the big Celebrate event this past weekend. So I can hit a couple of the highlights of the report, and certainly Liz, our Assistant Director of Social Services, is here as well to answer any questions that you have. School is ending in West Hartford tomorrow. So our summer programs will kick off on June 26th. Essentially every program we're running is sold out, which is very exciting for the town. In addition, all 4 pools, including Eisenhower, will open on Saturday, the 17th. Weather's not looking too promising right now, but maybe it'll change before Saturday. As folks know, we did hire a contractor to remove and reseal a portion of the Eisenhower pool, which was closed last summer. That repair was successful, so we anticipate the Hall Eisenhower neighborhood enjoying the pool all season long. So in addition, I know we've talked about the Kennedy Park Pool House renovation in past meetings. Happy to report that that renovation is complete and will be open for the season starting on Saturday, the 17th as well. And really good news for the Bishop's Corner Senior Center. We did receive a donation from the June M. Rosenflat Trust in the amount of $66,901. June was a very active member of the Bishop's Corner Senior Center branch, and as her legacy, wanted to make sure that others would continue to enjoy events and camaraderie at that particular location. And we'll update the committee in future meetings in terms of how we utilize those funds from that very generous donation from June and June's family. So with that, that's a couple of the highlights. I will pause there, turn it back to the committee. And as I said, Liz is here as well to answer any questions that you may have from social services as well.
Great,
Thank
thank you. Liz, you want to just give us a few quick highlights on social services, and then we'll do questions.
Sure, I just had 2 quick updates. I also just want to echo the great work that Chris Dutton shared. Kelly Waterhouse on our team really does a tremendous job partnering with the bridge and, you know, really trying to be creative, working together to serve the children and families that we're working together on. So I did just want to share that we recently received a $5,000 grant from Amplify, which is our regional behavioral health organization. We received this grant last year. It's called the State Opioid Response Mini Grant, or SOAR as we call it. As I said, we had it last year. We used those funds primarily for prevention activities such as the QPR suicide awareness training, naloxone training, our drug take back days that we do, what we partner with the police department on, getting some of the banners and materials for that. So we've recently just received another $5,000 this year, which will help us continue the programming that we've been doing. And Chris mentioned some additional funds we received from DCF last year to focus on our juvenile review board students. We've just submitted an application to renew that grant again for this year, which we're confident we will receive. And that allows us to work with the bridge to particularly have a staff who's focused on that more intensive mentoring that he mentioned. So we're very thrilled. That just really got started with a staff person. As he said, they worked with 10 kids. Unfortunately, they weren't able to hire till late. As you know, there's some challenges with hiring, but this person has been doing a great job. So we're thrilled we'll be able to keep that partnership going to focus on those youth in particular. So that's all the updates I have, unless there's any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions, Councilor Cortez?
No questions from me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all the work that's being done in your departments. Very much appreciated. And I know that you were a big part of getting Celebrate up and running, and it was a fantastic event this weekend. So thank you for all the work that was done there. All right. Are there any requests for future agenda items? If not, I don't know, Mr. Town Manager, do we typically take a pause in the summertime on the committee work?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Typically, what we'll do is we'll schedule one meeting during the summer if necessary. So we do generally take a pause, but you and I can talk offline. I'm sure there's going to be something we'll want to report on, and we can pick a date that's convenient with your schedule and the committee schedule, and schedule something for either month, July or August. So generally, we'll try to schedule one between the 2 months.
That sounds like a plan. All
Okay.
right, then without objection, I will adjourn the meeting at 5:41 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for your flexibility. I know this was a changed meeting date, and appreciate your ability to come on and provide us with these updates.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your
All right,
flexibility
have a
as
great
well.
night.